Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Lunar Beatties Crypto. I am David. It is Friday, February 16th, 2024. Hope you are all doing well. I imagine you are, because the crypto markets are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty tasty. They're looking pretty frothy. We got our coffee. We're going to get the show on the road. We got some stuff to go over. We're going to go over, we're going to see how we can find some altcoins to ape into, I guess, maybe. Not financial advice. But thank you for joining. Hit that like button if you don't mind. And, yeah, so it's the number one way to support the channel. Helps boost me up in the algorithm, all that good jazz. The stuff you hear all the time, you already know it. So, if you don't mind helping me out, I need, this is my cup. I need some change. Please give me some change. All right, yes. All right. So, crypto, Bitcoin is sitting at $52,283 per coin market cap. We got Ethereum at $2,826. We got Solana at $112. Everything is kind of popping off. Let's look at our top gainers of the past 24 hours. We've got BitGet token at 12%. Really? Let's look at the 7-day. 37%. Well, we're going by. I clicked the 24, so we'll go by that. Let's go by the 7-day. Let's see. Okay, VeChain up 67%. Ooh. SEI. How do you even say? Is it say? How do you say say? Say. How do you say say? Up 46%. Stacks up 40% on the week. Beam is up 38% on the week. There's that BitGet again. Helium up 37.86%. IMX. I was trying to find some ones that I know. Arweave. I mean, I know all these, but Immutable X, Mantle, Render, Axelar, Bonk, Flow, Mina, Gala, Sui. So let's go ahead and leave this up because I want to see something. So altcoins, as you can see, are having a little bit of fun. They're going on a run. Good morning, L. Jones. Happy to see you. And good morning, Tony Soprano. My guy. Hope you figured out that whole stop loss thing, that situation. And yeah. Let's kill it. Let's do some limit orders. All right, let's go ahead and just get into the charts. I know that's why you come here, is to look at the charts. And I do want to look at Bitcoin. Starting off, I want to look at Bitcoin because I want to go over a few things regarding Bitcoin. And right now we are approaching that 702. We're not quite at the 702 just yet. You can see there's a little bitty tiny space. It doesn't have to hit it. It can even go across it and fail to hold it. So that's just something to pay attention to that I'm going to be paying attention to anyway. But as Bitcoin gets into this next phase, we want to be looking out for a correction or just maybe some crabbing, like I was sharing earlier in the week. I think maybe Wednesday, maybe just do some crabbing in here or something. But while Bitcoin is doing its crab walk, hopefully we'll see some altcoins really start moving. The key is going to be finding out which altcoins to get into. So we kind of want to compare what we have seen in the past and try and put it into the future, and maybe even try to see how we can find some rotation in the market so that we can take advantage of that said rotation. I know I got to stop with the space in between the words. I got to stop with that. I got to wake up too. So that might help if I wake up. So I'm going to chug this coffee. Okay, I can't chug coffee. Can't chug coffee. It is not possible. All right, so Bitcoin. Why do I have this marked off? Well, that is because I wanted to point out how fear and greed. So I was watching, how do you even say his name? Jason something. Jason, somebody knows it. Let me just put this video in the chat. Give me one sec, because there we go. I thought this was pretty interesting. Jason Pizzino. Thought this was pretty interesting. And it made me start thinking of things. So, let's see. Paste. There we go. There's the video. You can go ahead and watch that yourself. Put it in your watch later list, whatever. But he goes over this whole fear and greed index thing. If you don't, I'll just give you the 411, the quick rundown, the TLDR, as the kids say these days. I'm not a kid. Just to let you know. So yeah, so when we are looking at Bitcoin, we're looking at our fear and greed index, and we're getting extra greedy. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to drop. When greed starts to enter the market, it's a little bit, it's kind of what we want to see. We kind of want to see greed start to enter the market. So right now, we're not even in extreme greed, which is anything, what is that, 70, 77 and above. So this is per this fear and greed index, which makes me think that the crypto lunar maestro and his lunarians. I like it. That's funny. So as long, but right now we are sitting below that extreme greed. We're not exactly right in there yet. I was gonna say that this coin market cap one, fear and greed index, well, it's at 76. So let's go ahead and go back to this, see what this is sitting at. It's sitting at a 72. So it is saying that it's not quite as high as coin market cap is saying. So I think this one's going to be more accurate. Anyway, what I wanted to point out is how, when we get into these areas of extreme fear, and that didn't necessarily mark the bottom, right? It wasn't until we got a little bit of a relief rally, a pullback down. People, to me, this just shows boredom. It just shows not really fear. This is fear. This was fear. This, because I was there. I mean, if you were there, this was fear. And this was just boredom. We got so bored. It was just kind of like, all right, is it ever going to do anything? And then it finally popped up and did something. So what I'm trying to say is that our fear and greed isn't even poking into extreme greed yet. And in the past, when we were in these similar situations, it was pretty much the start of a bull run. So when we see these sharp moves up in our fear and greed, I really want to start to see more of it. That way we can push that price higher. Because without greed, you can't have people buying stuff. Okay, people just aren't going to buy it to push the price higher. So you need to have the greed in the market to push that price higher. Also, greed can go another way. Greed can be where you're waiting for a pullback that you never really get. So the pullbacks are shallow. They don't really give you much of a chance to get in if you're waiting for like a big pullback. We can see that before we took off, we had this. Let me put my magnet on. We had a 21% pullback. Then the next pullback that we got was right up in here in this small consolidation range. We are on the weekly chart. The 16.7% pullback. Okay? I mean, these aren't big pullbacks. Minus 9.58% pullback. Minus 31% pullback. Now, something that I did want to point out this morning is how we can kind of see when the cycle was coming to an end by looking at the candle formations alone on the weekly chart. Now, we can see how these candles start to get shorter and shorter, smaller and smaller at the tops, okay? So we got small candles at the tops, kind of a good indication. But the best indication is, if I can find my drawing tool, is, so one way that you could have known that this was going to keep on going right here and to not get scared out is the fact that we were still putting in higher lows. Okay, we never broke down. Now, this is a little bit different. This, yes, while it does look like a bull flag, and it does get up to that next level, and I can do a measured move off of this, just these three candles. Man, that looks so ugly. Maybe I should use the trend tool. That might help. That might help. I'm just saying. So we can. So the important thing is, once we got this pullback, it was pretty obvious that we were getting close to the end simply because we have these candles pulling down and to the right and engulfing this candle. And we had one more big excessive move that ended the show, right? So we haven't even gotten anything like that yet over here. We did have a little bit of a pullback here, but we didn't close anything below here. This was a big, let me see, I moved this box. I shouldn't have moved this box because I had it here for a reason. But we can see that, we had some tight consolidation in here. We have some little deviations above and below, deviations just being price movements outside of the range. So like your deviation here, your range being here. Okay. So these are just deviations outside of the range that you are currently in. Now we've pushed past that. We've gotten past this deviation, and that is showing me that there's a good amount of strength in the market. And if we look at our fear and greed index, we're not even in fear yet. Google Trends isn't showing anything about Bitcoin. The retail's not even really interested in looking at Bitcoin yet. And yet, people are calling for 3K. Like, no doubt. Yo, good morning. I'm already headed to a job site. Was meeting with my boss, trying to get him to hurry so I don't miss the live. Thank you for being here, Justin. Justin Eubanks in the house. Sniper's Nightmare. Good morning, man. Good morning. Glad to see you here, brother. So, yep. We've got, we see these deviations outside of the range. We had a very small deviation outside of this range. And this is just pretty much an extremely strong range. I don't if we are to have some type of pullback, and I'm not even sure we're going to get this big of a pullback, but if we were to get a pullback down to this level, I'm not sure that we could even break this level. I mean, that's almost a 40% drop from where we are. Current price, it is a 40% drop. So could we get a 40% drop? Sure. It'd be difficult. Our first level would be this one, of course. If we are to get some kind of pullback, I would be looking to maybe sit in this range a little bit or bounce off of it. Okay, so that's something that I would be looking for. And however, if Bitcoin starts to, trade sideways and alts are going crazy, then that's kind of an alert sign for me. But for now, we don't fight the trend. And right now, the trend is up and to the right. So these candles over here, we want to make sure we're not seeing crazy 30% pullbacks with explosive moves out of it to the upside, because that is a good sign that we are starting to head towards the end. We could start getting some chop at the top. We got small candles at the tops, small candles at the tops, small candles at the tops, small candles at the tops. We want to continue to see nice, big, fat, green, veiny candles. Sorry. Excuse me. I did not mean to do that right into the microphone. So that is what we want to see. We want to see us get into that extreme greed, and we can stay there for quite some time. We can see it right here. Right here. We can see that we stayed in that greed, in that extreme greed for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Dropped out of it a little bit. 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's go. 14, 15 weeks. 15 out of 16 weeks, we were in extreme greed. Now we can see how this pullback in our sentiment was also a good sign that we were probably getting close to the end. We can go back to previous bull market and does this not take in? Oh man, it doesn't have the data. That kind of sucks. So previous bear, mid-cycle top of the last bull run, you can see we got into that extreme greed, and then it just like fell off a cliff, right into extreme fear, and that was before the massive dump. Okay, so the sentiment in the market had shifted. You could see the sentiment in the market shift to the downside, showing that there wasn't a lot of strength, wasn't a lot of, greed or anything in the market to really get it going. So it is something that we want to see, and kind of what I'm loving seeing right now, other than the fact that it kind of looks like a bigger one of these. One of these is taking a little bit longer. We can see how this kind of just grinds up a little bit. We're kind of just doing this grind up, with our sentiment. So it's kind of like people are they're really standoffish. They're not really sure what they want to do. Let me put this up here so I can, they're not really sure if they want to get in yet or not. So people are waiting on the sidelines, and it kind of makes me think that, we're going to see more upside. And I don't know when, but I do know the alts are going a little bit crazy. Some of them. And that's the thing. It's only some of them. Wow, it's already 5:52. Yo, Tony, algo might be worth a look, mate. Well, I'm kind of just I've got something. I'll take a look at it in a sec. But yeah, so we had a 5-wave crashing structure that pretty much says, all right, that's the end. That's the end of the cycle. Okay, it's time for a new cycle. But we still need to get past these major retracement levels, and in order for us to really, in order to really be welcome to the idea that we're not just gonna crash and burn. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But we want to watch these levels, and as long as we're closing and we're creating new highs and we're starting to get into that extreme greed, I think things could be starting to get a little bit crazy. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ETH BTC, because this is something that I wanted. This is something I want to go over. Let's go to Coinbase. I'm going to get rid of that. So, goodness, I'm on the weekly, and ETH BTC is sitting below the chart prime dynamic reactor. Okay, now if I go ahead and zoom into the daily, we can see that is tapping it and actually kind of pulling back at the moment. And if I go to the 4-hour, we have already broken it, and we are back testing that dynamic reactor. This is not financial advice. However, Ethereum, and actually Eric Wallen kind of pointed this out to me yesterday. Ethereum, or not really pointed it out, but was like, because I said something about AI and gaming tokens being the play. He said ETH and layer 2s being the play. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. ETH and layer 2s are definitely a play. Yes. And ETH right now is getting a back test against BTC, against Bitcoin, getting a back test on the dynamic reactor chart prime. It's a pretty darn accurate. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know I don't know if it's like a moving average or anything like that. It's just a pretty accurate indicator. That's all I know. So we are getting that back test of the dynamic reactor and the volume reactor. We've got it flipped green. Let's take a look at our fear and greed. It's going to be the same across the market, but I do still want to, zoom into it a little bit. So we did have an instance of extreme greed a few weeks ago. I guess that was the launch of the ETFs. We got extreme greed then, and then it's just kind of chilled out, right? So we are sitting there. It's kind of more like we're like hopeless, not hopeless. We're hopelessly optimistic. No, that's not the words I was trying to go for. We are optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah, that was the title of my thumbnail yesterday. We are cautiously optimistic. We want to be optimistic, but we want to be cautious in our optimism. Optimist prime. Yeah, our prime oscillator is looking good. Yeah. So ETH BTC was looking good. I think we're getting a back test, and it might be a time to consider rotating some stuff into Ethereum. Not financial advice, not telling you what to do. You do what you want to do. But maybe start rolling into Ethereum and layer 2s. So speaking of layer 2s, let's just let's think of one. Let's do OP BTC. So one of the things I wanted to highlight is kind of see how coins have been performing against Bitcoin this cycle ever since the lows back in where is it? Not the November lows of 22. Yeah, I guess so. Man, it feels like it's been so long. Feels like it's been so long. OP BTC. See if we even got that chart. Yep. November 22. Man, OP's been performing really well against Bitcoin. So this is probably something to watch. Optimism. It could still come down a little bit against Bitcoin. But the reason why I want to look at the altcoin versus Bitcoin charts is because if they are performing well against Bitcoin, then that kind of suggests to me that people are selling their Bitcoin in order to buy these altcoins, these specific altcoins. They are going into this chart, which is optimism against Bitcoin, which means you have to use Bitcoin to buy the optimism. You're making a trade. You're selling your Bitcoin and trading it for the optimism. Therefore, the people that hold Bitcoin, insiders, it's like they're rotating into these specific altcoins. So this is something that you might want to add to your repertoire, is a Bitcoin pair list. See, I have an entire list of Bitcoin pairs. I need to add more to it. There's not enough, obviously. But yeah, optimism is one of those that has been performing well against Bitcoin. It's been stagnant for, for 2 or 3 months. It's been kind of stagnant, but that just means it could be coming towards the end, and it could start ramping up again. Now, if we go and we look at something like Bitcoin, or Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin against Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash against Bitcoin has just been slowly dying. It's just slowly dying. Now, it is at its lows, right? It is at its lows, but it hasn't exactly performed that well against Bitcoin, right? Especially if we take a zoom out, we go out to the weekly, we can see that it is, ever since it existed, it's just been dying against Bitcoin. I believe it is the same, unfortunately, for XRP, Bitcoin, BTC, XRP, BTC. There we go. I mean, it's just dying slowly against Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean we can't just see some craziness where it just goes crazy and spikes up. But, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Let's find one. Let's think of Arbitrum. Arbitrum, BTC. So this is another ETH layer 2. So it has performed fairly well against Bitcoin. So maybe that's something to watch. It is below its dynamic reactor on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, it's kind of below it. The volume reactor is down here, though. So if we can come down here, maybe we'll get a bounce. So I'm thinking maybe we see a pullback in Bitcoin that kind of brings down the alts against it. And then we get a nice expansion and everything just kind of pops off. Bitcoin only goes like back up to the top of the range, but altcoins get like a surge, right? And then Bitcoin has another pullback within its tight little range, and then altcoins get rotated into, pop off. So, and this can go on for quite some time. So that's just something I wanted to bring you to your attention, is in pairs, because they can show you what people are interested in. Look at Solana versus Bitcoin. It has just been going crazy, right? What is something else? Caspa versus BTC. I bet this one's been going up and to the right. I mean, basically. Now it has kind of faltered a little bit, but we could start to see some moves here soon. So keep an eye on that one. GRT, BTC. Let's see how so this is basically an AI type token. It is starting to look a little bit on the bullish side. against Bitcoin. Filecoin. Ooh. Filecoin does this big jumps. I don't know if that's something that I would want to get into. Super volatile. This is something, anytime I see stuff that has huge spikes and then huge dumps right after, that is something that I would just hold, and then once it goes up like 100%, dump it. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. If you were going to get into alts, AVAX has performed very well against Bitcoin. So that's also something to watch, in my opinion. Not financial advice. It is past 6 o'clock. Wow, I did not realize I was running so long. It feels like I've been on here for 5 seconds. Both will be good plays. And BRC20s. Yes, BRC20s is definitely something. Anything related to Bitcoin, I think is going to do pretty well. So let's go ahead and look at our Algorand versus BTC. Ooh, look at that. That's probably the cleanest one that I've seen so far. Oh, wait, this is Algo USD. Okay, I was about to say. Let's look at Algo BTC. So this is Algorand versus Bitcoin. It has pulled back into this consolidation range right here. So, and that is the range that it launched from. So that could be a play. Could be a play. We'll have to keep a close eye on that one. But so that's just something for you guys to go over the weekend. Look at those Bitcoin pairs. See what's doing well against Bitcoin, because it seems like if it's doing well against Bitcoin, then people are selling their Bitcoin to buy those altcoins. And a lot of people aren't just going to sell their Bitcoin to not make gains. I'll tell you that much. People are not going to do that, okay? But anyway, I got to run too, dude. Fiat mining is on the table, is the name of the game. It's what we got to do. So I got to go. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. If you don't mind smashing that like button on your way out, helps boost me in the YouTube algorithm. Helps boost me in the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel, helps me get seen. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you all on Friday. Have a radical day. Have a radical weekend. And ride the waves. Peace out. Hola, French toaster. Have a good day, dude. Peace.